No, I'm not going to tell you to wake up at 5 a.m. and meditate like every other success habit video does. Instead, I'm going to give you the lowdown today on habits that you can swap from the bad habits that are holding you back professionally to the success habits that are going to help you excel at work. If you're ready to find out what they are, tap that like button and let's just jump straight into it today. The first success habit swap that you need to make is to stop thinking that goals are BS and start setting some goals to slay, my friend. I've spoken to so many ambitious professionals who really don't see a point in goal setting, and they're operating without a vision of what they want their career and their life to be. But if you don't know where you're going, how are you going to get there? Sure, you can kind of bump around life and maybe you'll get lucky and it's all gonna work out for you. But when you set goals, when you have some level of clarity surrounding what you are actually working towards and what you want in life, it makes it a whole lot easier for you to go out and get it. Of all the super successful people that I have spoken with, worked with, and asked this very question, the one thing that I find every single one of them has is goals. So if you do not have goals, you need to start today. Now, the reason why so many goals don't work and why people think that goals are BS is because they haven't done the next habit swap. Now, for the next habit swap, what you're going to do is instead of winging it, you are going to plan for success. Planning for success is both one of the most under-leveraged success habits and one of the most powerful. Like, it boggles my mind that more people don't do this. Now, if you guys have gotten to know me, you know that I am like a big planning nerd. I really think it's important, but if you have goals, what you need to have is the intention to actually get there, and that's where planning really comes into play. Now, this is at multiple levels. You need to know kind of what your goal is for the year or for some period of time, and you work your way back from there with a plan. Personally, for this, I am an avid planner, like consumer of planners. And I think I've probably had an annual planner since I was about 14 years old, because having that weekly plan that I can connect up to my goals is something that helps me stay on track and get what I really wanted of my career. Now, a few years ago, I started using the IncNVolt planner, and I think it is the best planner for both success habits of goal setting and planning. The reason for that is that it's basically a planner and a workbook. So you set your goals, there's annual goals, there's monthly goals. It prompts you to go back and visit them. It prompts you with different questions for you to work through. And then obviously there's your weekly plan. I'm a huge fan of vertical planners, and I'm going to be showing you this all kind of on screen. And I personally like to jazz mine up, and I use stickers and sometimes different color pens and stuff because I like to make it a more creative process, because if you're just making a list, that's not super fun. So I do make it a thing, but obviously that's optional. Now, in my planner, I write down the main things that I need to do that day. The actual meetings and kind of all of the calendar consumption, be here, do this at this time, goes into my Google Calendar. It's not in my actual planner. But the things that I need to work on, that I need to make sure time is allocated for, are all in my actual paper planner. And I get the joy of crossing things off the list when they have been done. Now, IncNVolt did send me this planner. I have bought it for several years with my own money. I was super jazzed when they offered to send me a planner to include in my videos. So thank you, IncNVolt. I really, really appreciate it. And this is from their limited edition series. So if you like this specific one that I showed you, do make sure and get it right away. I will link it down below. It's not an affiliate link even. I am just a huge fan of their products. The third success habit swap that you should make is going from being a lone rider into building up your success squad. If you've been hanging around here for a while, you know that I have a saying: success is not solitary. We need people around to uplift us, inspire us, keep us motivated, and let's face it, sometimes just to talk us through stuff when it gets real. Surrounding yourself with great people is going to help you navigate stress, obstacles. There are so many benefits to having a good squad in your corner. I won't harp on about who you need and how to do it because I have other videos on that I'll link down below in case you want to check them out. But this is something that I think is really important because I see so many people that are just really taking everything on by themselves and trying to go out there and just do it all on their own. But you don't have to. Having people in your corner, having cheerleaders, having mentors, having sponsors are going to unlock different levels of your career that might not have been accessible or as easily accessible otherwise. And that brings me to the fourth success habit squad, and you might not like this one very much. Instead of wasting resources, start investing wisely. And there's a couple of different levels to this one. Now, the first is the most obvious when we talk about investing resources, and that is money. I have worked with way too many ambitious professionals who have a crazy amount of debt, and not just student debt, but like credit card debt from buying, let's just call it what it is, shit they don't need. I know, especially if you're in a big city like London or New York or San Francisco or LA, you can feel a lot of pressure to be keeping up with everyone around you at work and in your personal life. So it really feels like you need to have that bag or that jacket or those jeans or like those shoes or whatever it is. But when you are paying for those things on credit cards, you are paying so much on them, and you can dig yourself into a hole that you cannot get out of. It is not worth it. And if you feel like you need a whole bunch of stuff in order to keep up with everyone else, then what we really need to work on, my friend, is uplifting your confidence so that you feel great and secure in who you are, no matter what handbag you're carrying. And really trust me on this one, because at this point in my life, I have a closet that 25-year-old me would have killed to have. But it makes zero difference in my relationships or at work. The other investment that you need to make really strategically is how you are investing your time. It's so cliche, but we all have the same 24 hours in a day. Well, okay, in fairness, we don't all actually have the same. That's a really inequitable statement, so I kind of hate generalizing like that. If you have kids, if you're in poverty, like there's a lot of things that take away. But in the time that we do have, if you do a time audit, what you might find is that you have more time that isn't being leveraged the way that you really want it to be leveraged. So getting intentional about the time that you're investing is important. For example, the average American spends 3.5 hours a day on their cell phone. 3.5 hours a day. That's a part-time job on their phone. Now, if you want to be spending that much time on your phone, that's your life, my friend. Like, I'm not here to judge you. But if I tell you that and you look at your screen time report and you're like, holy shit, chances are you don't intend for that to happen. And if you don't intend for it to happen, all of the things that you don't have time for, you actually do have time for if you make them a priority. And there's all of the obvious players that come in here. I don't have time to cook. I don't have time to do my laundry. I don't have time to exercise. I don't have time to read a book. Well, if you have all of that time on your phone and you don't want that time on your phone, you do have it. It's just a matter of swapping out that habit so that you can invest your time the way that you want to invest it. And also, whether we're talking about money or we're talking about time, we need to remember that strategic investment is going to have a very high ROI for us over time. When you invest your money in the right things and in the right places, it is going to grow. Same thing with your time. If you are investing your time the way that you want, you are going to be happier, you're going to be more successful, you're going to be healthier. Like, however you are choosing to reinvest it, it is going to pay off in dividends. And I'd actually really love to hear your thought on this one, especially when it comes to screen time. Are you investing how you really want to invest, and could you be more intentional? That leads me directly into the next success habit swap. So maybe I just jumped the gun on that one a little bit. But one habit that I highly suggest that you swap out is constant connectivity for dedicated, unplugged, tech-free time. One of my goals at the beginning of the year was that every Wednesday night after 8 p.m., I would go dark. There would be no internet, there would be no apps, there would be no television. My Kindle, sure, because it's technically a book, even though it's an electronic book, but hey, I'm not counting that one. But it was dedicated time to unplug and just hang out with my husband, catch up, read, like do non-tech stuff. And I've got to say, I absolutely loved it because it was the one night a week that we just got to really decompress. And it was right in the middle of the week where you're starting to get tired, you're starting to get kind of burnt out, and you get a really good night's sleep because you're not on your phone watching YouTube videos until 1 in the morning. Or am I the only one who does that? And at least one day a week, you know that you're gonna get those 3.5 hours back. Am I right? The next success habit that we need to do a swap on an old habit for is to stop assuming the worst and start assuming the best. And I know particularly for my subscribers, so many of you found my channel because you have obstacles at work. You're in a toxic workplace, you have toxic coworkers, you had a toxic boss. And when you're in that toxic environment, even if you're naturally the most positive and optimistic person, it can really corrode that and make you really negative, and you're living in a negative mindset all day. And even when you escape it and you're in toxic workplace recovery mode, it can be hard for you to readjust and to really think positively. And because of the wounds that you sustain in the toxic workplace, you might be assuming the worst about people who are really coming to you with good intentions. And I'm not going to say that there aren't toxic people in the world, because that's a huge part of what we actually talk about here is issues with coworkers, issues at work, and yes, toxic workplaces. But I do notice, especially in the comments, that one of the habits that a lot of you do have is that you are assuming the worst. And this is both the simplest, but I also think the most difficult swap for you to make. When you catch yourself making negative assumptions about someone, I want you to take a minute. So for example, if you were passed over for a promotion and someone else got it, you might automatically go to, they don't deserve it, they don't work as hard as I do, they're not as good as I am, I should have had the role. Maybe that's all true, but what if there's things that you don't see? What if they were focused on strategic impact when you were focused on working hard? What if they were focused on a strategic impact that was even bigger than the strategic impact that you had? Or what if you weren't quite ready where they were kind of overly ready in other ways? There's always things that you don't see. And really what I want to challenge you with a success habit is to, instead of finding reasons to not like someone or not trust them or think that they're coming to you with bad intentions, is find reasons to like people and be intentional and cognizant about assuming good intent. And I know that some of you are going to be like, there's no way I'm doing this, Jennifer. This is just crazy talk. But there's something very interesting that happens when you change your energy towards a person and when you assume good intent. Even if someone has bad intentions or isn't a good person, but you give them that better version of themselves to live up to by having the best assumption about them, they might be that person instead of the bad person you're assuming they are. Vast majority of people are eager to please. And the last thing that they want to do is hurt their reputation in any way with you. Plus, this is just going to be better for you and your psyche if you don't feel like everyone is out for you and that everyone has your back. And trust me, when you really start to believe it, people are going to have your back. And that brings me to the 7th success habit to swap out. And this is the most important one. I know that I said 1 and 2 are really important and I really believe it, but if you only walk away and do one of them, I want it to be this one. Instead of complaining, I want you to practice gratitude. It is very easy to complain. It is very easy to rant. It is very easy to be frustrated about things on a day-to-day basis. Trust me, that is my natural setting and I can rant like no one else. Just ask my husband. And I know, because I do it, how necessary of a process it is sometimes when you are going through an obstacle or you're going through an up level and you are uncomfortable. You just need to get those feelings out because those feelings are totally valid. But instead of staying there, start to move to a more positive place by practicing gratitude. Gratitude is a life changer. It will make you healthier, sleep better. It's going to make you happier and more successful at work and in life. It really is like waving a magic wand and good things happen. If you aren't already practicing gratitude and you want to know how you can get started, I want you to go and watch this video right now where I break down a very simple gratitude practice. If you enjoyed this video and you haven't already, do make sure that you smash that like button. It really helps my channel and it makes you my favorite person. As always, thank you so much for watching, my friend. I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.